Hello and welcome to Minerals, Rocks, and Fossil Talks. I'm your paleo teacher, Jen, and it's time for Wordplay Wednesday. So, humans are very good at grouping things together in little boxes. Tall, short, yellow, hairy, scaly, lives in water, lives in trees, speaks Spanish, speaks Chinese, etc., etc., etc. Now, one of the ways that we classify living things is through taxonomy. Taxonomy comes from the Greek words taxis, meaning order or arrangement, and nomia, meaning method or distribution. So we are arranging things through a method or distribution. You are probably more familiar with taxonomy than you realize. Specifically, Linnaean taxonomy, which is a ranked classification of organisms. Okay, so here I've got a Linnaean taxonomy. Linnaean taxonomy, the system looks like this. You have domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genera, species, and sometimes subspecies. Okay? So here is an example of that. So our domain is Eukaryota. Our kingdom is Animalia. Phylum is Chordata. Class is Mammalia. Order is Carnivora. Family is Felidae. Genera is Panthera. Species is Leo. And the subspecies is Leo. In case you haven't figured it out, that is the Linnaean taxonomy for the northern subspecies of African lion. Okay? So that's how we group things together. We can do that with anything that we have alive today. Not just vertebrates, but like animals, plants, and fungi are all classified this way. Way back in the day, they used to try and do that with minerals too, until they realized minerals cannot be classified the same way as living things because, well, first off, minerals are not alive, and second of all, we needed a different system for that worked better. Anyway, so did that sound familiar? I've used a lot of these terms during my Fossil Friday videos, so if you've been watching those, you've probably heard me use many of these words before when I talk about the phylogenies of different organisms. However, phylogeny is used with evolutionary taxonomy, not Linnaean taxonomy. They'll use a lot of the same words to keep things simple, but they use them slightly differently. So what is the difference? Evolutionary taxonomy groups organisms by shared ancestry and evolutionary change, which allows for paraphyletic groups. And I'll explain that in a moment. While Linnaean taxonomy focuses on physical characteristics, often leading to subjective classifications. Evolutionary taxonomy is the modern form of classification used in paleontology. Okay, here's some examples of like how those classifications for Linnaean taxonomy would work. So like traits for reptiles. They're covered in scales. There's almost no parental care. So they basically lay their eggs and their babies are left to fend for themselves for the most part. They're cold-blooded. They have solid bones. They have a 3-chambered heart, except for crocodiles. That's important. They have a 4-chambered heart. They are vertebrates. They are amniotes. They lay eggs or give live birth, depending on the reptile. They are tetrapods. They have 4 limbs. Diapsids. So they have 2 extra holes in their skull. All of their teeth are the same, they're homogeneous, and they have 1 middle ear bone. Now if I look at mammals, okay, they're covered in hair or fur rather than scales. They have mammary glands so they can feed their young. They take care of their young. They're warm-blooded rather than cold-blooded. They also have solid bones. They have a 4-chambered heart. They are vertebrates. They are also amniotes. They also either lay eggs or give live birth. They are tetrapods, having 4 limbs. They are synapsids, meaning that they have 1 extra hole in their skull. They have different sets of teeth in their mouth. And they have 3 middle ear bones. So there's some similarities and some differences. Now I'm going to add birds. Birds are covered in feathers, but they do have some scales like our reptiles. They brood, so they do take care of their young. They don't have any way to feed them from their own bodies, so they have to bring them food. They are warm-blooded like mammals. Unlike the other two, they have hollow bones. They have 4-chambered hearts, just like mammals and crocodiles. They are a vertebrate, just like the other two. Amniote, just like the other two. Lay eggs, just like the other two. They are tetrapods, just like the other two. Diapsids, just like reptiles. They have no teeth, and they have 1 middle ear bone, just like reptiles. So there's a lot of differences, and that's how we grouped them into their different classes, but there's a lot of similarities. So how do we explain the similarities? Through evolutionary taxonomy. Okay, so now if I'm looking at an evolutionary taxonomy, I'm looking at the evolutionary relationships. So I'm keeping this very, very simple here. So we're going to start with bony fish. Our bony fish are going to split into ray-finned fish and then to lobe-finned fish, and those lobe-finned fish will split so that there is tetrapods. Those tetrapods will split, we'll have amphibians and our amniotes. Those amniotes will split into synapsida and diapsida. If I go to synapsids, we have those split into pelycosaurs, so things like Dimetrodon, and then to therapsids, into cynodonts, if you know what like Cynognathus and things like that are, and then we end up with mammals. If we go back to our diapsids, we have lizards and snakes, then we split off turtles, then we split off crocodiles, and birds. So that allows us to see that the reason that mammals, birds, and reptiles share some traits is that they do have a shared common ancestor somewhere along the way, and that the differences we see come from changes over time. So they're all related to each other. They just took some different paths. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. I've talked about this before. It'll probably come up more because this is kind of like a core thing in paleo. So don't worry, if you still don't get it, it'll be broken down again in other lessons and all that fun stuff. So that's taxonomy. Hope you had fun with this lesson and learned something new. And make sure you tune in tomorrow to learn about Henri de Blainville. And I will fossilize you later.